Last month, a house on this lake sold for $15.25 million. That is the highest price ever paid for a home anywhere in the Charlotte region. 10 minutes up from the same shoreline, families are buying on the same water for a fraction of that. Lake Norman is 6 towns across 4 counties, and there are 3 completely different things people call Lakefront. Let's go through all of it. Real quick, I'm Evie DeJesus, Realtor in North Carolina and South Carolina. If Lake Norman is on your list, text me at the number on your screen, and I'll walk you through all 6 of these towns so you can see them side by side and decide which one fits your family. Let's go. Let's start with something most people get wrong about Lake Norman. It is not one market. It is 4 counties and 6 towns, and the county line matters more than almost anything else on this lake. On the Lake Norman side, you've got Huntersville, Cornelius and Davidson. Head north into Iredell County, and that's Mooresville. Cross to the west shore, and you're in Lincoln County, which is Denver. Keep going north on that side, and you're in Catawba County, which is Terrell and Cheryl's Ford. 4 counties means 4 different property taxes, 4 different school districts, and 4 different price levels for water that is physically the exact same water. Now, the part that causes the most confusion. Around here, most people use the word lakefront for 3 completely different things. The first is true waterfront. Your property line runs down to the water. You can have a dock. This is the real thing, and it's priced like it. The second is Lakeview. You can see the water from the house. You do not own down to the water. Sometimes there's a community boat slip nearby, and sometimes there isn't. You're buying a view. The third one is lake access. You might not see the water at all, but the neighborhood has a boat ramp, a day dock, a common area on the lake. You're buying the ability to get on the water without paying to live on it. Those 3 can sit within a half a mile of each other and be separated by hundreds of thousands of dollars. And here's the honest problem. From a photograph, they can look the same. A drone shot from a lake view house almost looks exactly like a drone shot from a waterfront house. So don't shop off the photos. Read the public remarks on the listing, because that's where agents actually spell out which of the 3 it is. Whether there's a dock, whether there's a slip, whether the neighborhood has a ramp. And if it isn't clear, have your agent ask and get it in writing. Whichever tier you want, you should know exactly which one you're paying for. Quick fun fact before the numbers. Lake Norman is the largest man-made lake in North Carolina. 538 miles of shoreline, and people around here call it the Inland Sea. Duke Power created it back in 1963. And every one of these towns has its own claim to fame. Davidson has Davidson College, where Steph Curry played, and the state also named an interchange on I-77 after him. Mooresville is Race City, USA, home to more than 60 NASCAR teams and racing businesses. And Cornelius made headlines back in 2013 when Michael Jordan bought a place on this lake. So let's go through them from most expensive to the least. These are median sale prices for the year so far, January through July, straight out of Canopy MLS, which is our local Realtor Association's own reporting. Davidson is the most expensive town on this lake at $709,000. It's a college town built around Davidson College, walkable downtown, small historic streets, and some of the strongest schools in the region. The town is physically small and it doesn't sprawl, so inventory stays tight. Cornelius comes in at $615,000. And I want you to pay attention here, because that number is misleading in the most interesting way. Cornelius is home to the Peninsula, the country club community out on the main channel. And it also holds the record for the most expensive home ever sold in the entire Charlotte region. A private island property called Regatta Island sold for $15.25 million. It had been listed just under $19 million. So the typical Cornelius home trades around $615, and that same town produced a $15 million sale. Huntersville, $560,320, closest of these towns to Charlotte. Big subdivisions, Birkdale Village for your shopping and restaurants. Easy run down 77 into the city. Now here's the one nobody expects. Denver, over on the West Shore in Lincoln County is $558,415. That is within $2,000 of Huntersville. Different county, different schools, different tax rate, opposite side of the lake, and almost exactly the same price. And now Mooresville is the most affordable of the group at an even $500,000. That surprises people because Mooresville is also the biggest housing market on this lake by a wide margin, and it has more shoreline than any of them. It's Iredell County, so different taxes and different schools. Terrell up in Catawba County doesn't get its own published market report. It's too small. So if you see a Terrell number floating around online, know that it's an estimate, not closed sale. And one thing holds true in every one of these towns. Water frontage is a separate market that runs well above the town's ordinary price. Cornelius is the proof. $615,000 for a typical home, $15.25 million for the record. A town median tells you what living near this lake costs, but it does not tell you what living on it costs. Now that you've seen all six, do me a favor. Drop a comment. Number one, and tell me where you're watching from. And number two, tell me which one you'd move to. And if this has been useful, hit subscribe. It genuinely helps me keep making these videos for you. Lake Norman is a Duke Energy reservoir operating under a federal license, and Duke Energy manages the shoreline under a shoreline management plan that spells out what can be built and where. This is straight from Duke Energy. What this means in practice, your dock or pier runs on a lake use permit handled through Duke's lake access permit system, and a permit is good for 1 year. If you want to change the pier, rebuild it, or touch the shoreline, that goes through Duke, not just the county. And this part makes people go, huh? Duke Energy says the permit lets you restrict access to your pier and dock, but it does not let you restrict public use of the lake or the shoreline. So somebody fishing from a boat right off the back of your house is entirely within their rights. None of this is a reason not to buy here. It's a reason to ask 3 questions before you do. Is there an existing permitted structure? Is the permit in good standing? And what would it cost and take to change it? So how do the 3 tiers actually play out? True waterfront tends to make sense for people who will genuinely use the boat most weekends, most of the season. If the boat is a someday idea, you're paying a large premium for a view. Lakeview is for people who want the water in their life every day without the dock, the lift, the maintenance, and the permit. For a lot of families, this makes more sense. Lake access is the one I'd want you to at least look at. A neighborhood ramp and a day dock gets you on the water for a fraction of the money, and you spend the difference on the house itself. On geography, it comes down to your commute and your county. Mecklenburg side is the closest to Charlotte. Iredell and Lincoln may buy you more land and more house, but it will cost you more drive time. Prices on this lake move constantly, and waterfront moves differently than everything else. So talk to your realtor about what things are actually trading for right now before you set your budget. And if you don't have a realtor, I would love to help. And please go see these towns more than once. A weekend and a weekday will show you 2 completely different places, especially on 77. So here's what I would do next. Before you fall for a listing photo, decide which tier you're really shopping. On the water, looking at the water, or near the water with a place to put a boat. Those are 3 different budgets. I've got a free guide to this lake linked in the description. Text me at the number on your screen or grab 15 minutes on my calendar. I promise I won't push any sales. And if you're still deciding between North Carolina and South Carolina in the first place, watch my tax breakdown video next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.